Bolivia's government officials disclosed President Luis Arce medical report. Europeans are set to start getting coronavirus vaccines before the new year. Guinea President Alpha Conde has sworn in to office for a third term. From the headquarters of TeleSUR English in Havana, Cuba, this is From the South. I'm Gladys Quesada. In Bolivia, the Minister of the Presidency, Marianela Prada, issued a statement on the results of the routine medical examinations of President Luis Arce.
Our President Luis Alberto Arce Catacora has already completed his medical studies in Brazil, and we have the results and everything is okay. Our President is healthy. Today he returns to our country, and tomorrow we'll be presiding over the presidential cabinet meeting we have every Wednesday.
Rio de Janeiro's annual New Year's Eve beach bash, already reduced in scope and format, has been cancelled due to the raging coronavirus pandemic. What is normally a mega party with live music, a dazzling display of fireworks, and hundreds of thousands of people dancing to live music had already been drastically downsized, with the fireworks cancelled and several events moved online. The 2021 Carnival was also cancelled, but there is the possibility that it will be held out of season in case the population can be vaccinated. The government of President Jair Bolsonaro said that Brazil has guaranteed access to 300 million vaccines, mainly those developed by Oxford University along with AstraZeneca Pharmaceutical and Brazil's Fiocruz Foundation, as well as vaccines from the COVAX Facility International Initiative.
The coronavirus rate has increased by almost 100%, so I think it is good not to have crowds.
It is a huge number of people who come to the Copacabana beaches every year. It is not even possible to consider doing this.
And Colombia's Attorney General's office, through the Supreme Court, sent the files of more than 2,000 cases opened against 22 generals and more than 10,000 military personnel to the International Criminal Court to investigate their participation in the assassination of 3,966 civilians. The extrajudicial killings of the 3,000 people are known as false positives, as security forces pass the victims off as guerrillas killed in battle in order to inflate the body count in the government's war against the Revolutionary Armed Forces of Colombia, People's Army. The killings have been under investigation since 2002, and during the process, 22 military personnel were promoted to the highest military rank, despite the fact that they were accused of crimes against humanity. The investigations led to the trials that condemned 1,794 military personnel. Human rights defenders point out that the Colombian Senate has been omitting investigations against members of the military who have been promoted despite their involvement in this murder of civilians. And the systematic violence in Colombia continues, with a new massacre confirmed in the northwestern department of Antioquia, bringing the total registered to this year to 85. The National Police of Antioquia confirmed the murder of at least 3 people killed with firearms, but stated that the motive of the massacre was unknown and the perpetrators were yet to be identified. According to official reports, this is the 4th massacre in this region of the country this year. And the Argentine Senate continues to debate the voluntary termination of pregnancy bill. Senators grouped in the Women's Rights, Justice, Criminal and Health Affairs Committees are this Tuesday advancing with a plenary session being held virtually to seek the approval of the bill promoted by President Alberto Fernandez. Senators are set to hear all the proposals and views regarding the legalization of abortion, as well as the testimonies of interested parties, with the aim of formalizing a ruling and taking it to the plenary session of the entire Senate on December 29th. Cuban scientists this Tuesday dismissed a report released by the United States claiming that radio frequencies were the possible cause of a mysterious illness that allegedly affected U.S. diplomats working in Havana. During a press conference, Cuban experts voiced hope that the new U.S. administration under President-elect Joe Biden could bring greater collaboration to help solve the mystery of what exactly happened and who is responsible for the alleged attacks. Tensions over the incidents led to the withdrawal of a large part of the diplomatic staff of the United States Embassy on the island in 2017, at the beginning of Washington's escalation of sanctions against the Caribbean nation initiated by President Donald Trump, and also led to a limitation of Canadian diplomats soon after.
It should be noted that although the report itself was largely cautious, the publicity surrounding its release suggested that the National Academy report supported the idea that a source of radio frequency was likely related to the onset of patient symptoms. At best, radio frequency waves should be considered a hypothesis about the cause of health conditions, unlikely, and are not a proven fact.
And we'll be right back after this very short break, so don't go away. Welcome back to From the South. Europeans are set to start getting coronavirus vaccines before the new year, after the regional drug regulator accelerated its approval process. The European Medicines Agency, EMA, said in an expert panel will convene on Monday, December 21st, to evaluate the vaccine made by the U.S. company Pfizer and German partner BioNTech. While EMA's mandate is to issue recommendations on new medical treatments, the European Commission has the final say on the approval. Germany should start giving coronavirus shots 24 to 72 hours after the BioNTech-Pfizer vaccine gets EU approval and could begin as soon as Christmas, Health Minister Jens Spahn said on Tuesday. The Mexican government announced that 5 clinical trials of coronavirus vaccine candidates will be conducted in the country. The Federal Commission for Protection Against Health Risk informed that it will grant the necessary safety permits to the clinical trials of vaccines produced by Russian, German, and U.S. pharmaceutical companies. The Commission also noted that on December 28th, a simulation exercise will be carried out to study possible vaccine distribution process in the country. The government also pointed out that it expects the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine to arrive in the country in the next few days in order to begin to apply 125,000 doses from Tuesday, December 22nd. The Peruvian site of Machu Picchu, one of the world's most famous tourist sites, closed its doors on Monday for an indefinite period for security reasons amid protests by locals over train services. Local communities blocked the railway that transport visitors to the archaeological site of the Inca citadel to demand cheaper fares and more frequent trains on the route between Cusco, the nearest city, and Machu Picchu. While the train is the only means of transport for tourists visiting the site, it is also widely used by the residents of the area, where only 2 companies operate, Inca Rail and Peru Rail. The protest began peacefully last Wednesday but escalated over the weekend, with an occupation of the tracks, which sparked clashes with the police and threats to occupy the site. The surprise closure came just 6 weeks after the tourist hotspots reopened, following an almost 8-month closure due to the coronavirus pandemic.
That have blocked access to the main entrance of Machu Picchu. So we hope that on these days, through the dialogue that has been established with the representatives of the central government, with the local government of Machu Picchu, and also with the tourist industry, there will be conditions to reopen it. There are different rates charged by the Inca Rail and Peru Rail companies that provide services to Machu Picchu. The Ministry of Transport and Communications has already established a dialogue with them to see if there is any possibility of making any kind of reduction.
Ireland's health minister has announced that an initial round of vaccination against COVID-19 could begin before the new year, as long as the European Medicines Agency decides to authorize the Pfizer-BioNTech jab when it meets ahead on schedule on December 21st instead of December 29th.
We all know that we are looking, hopefully, at the first COVID vaccine being authorized by the European Medicines Agency within just a few weeks. And it will only be a matter of days after that before we would see it being distributed here. We have a plan. The plan was designed to be flexible, including if the EMA brought its timing forward. And it is possible that if the EMA does authorize this vaccine, that it would be a very low level, but that an initial round of vaccination could actually begin before the new year.
Republican Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell congratulated Democrat Joe Biden as president-elect this Tuesday, thus acknowledging President Donald Trump's election defeat. The Republican leader's statement delivered in a speech on the Senate floor in which he stated that the Electoral College has spoken ends week of silence over President Donald Trump's defeat and came a day after electors met and officially confirmed Biden's election win. He also congratulated Vice President-elect Kamala Harris, saying all Americans can take pride in having a female vice president for the first time. Biden told reporters that he called McConnell today to thank him for the remarks. The Senate leader's speech followed a groundswell of leading Republicans who have now said that Biden is the winner of the presidential election, essentially abandoning Trump's assault on the results.
6 weeks ago, the Americans voted in this year's general election. The legal and constitutional processes have continued to play out since then. Yesterday, electors met in all 50 states. So as of this morning, our country has officially a president-elect and a vice president-elect. Many millions of us had hoped the presidential election would yield a different result. But our system of government has processes to determine who will be sworn in on January the 20th. The Electoral College has spoken. So today I want to congratulate President-elect Joe Biden. The President-elect is no stranger to the Senate. He's devoted himself to public service for many years. I also want to congratulate the Vice President-elect, our colleague from California, Senator Harris.
And the Brazilian President Jair Bolsonaro said on Tuesday he was ready to work with Joe Biden as he congratulated the U.S. President-elect on his victory more than a month after the November 3rd election. Bolsonaro, a staunch ally of outgoing President Donald Trump, was among the last high-profile world leaders to recognize Biden's victory after it was confirmed on Monday by the U.S. Electoral College. In an interview with Brazilian TV, far-right Bolsonaro said that with the vote now confirmed by the U.S. Electoral College, he will no longer discuss the election after having voiced concerns about widespread fraud in the November vote, thus echoing Trump. And we have more stories coming up after a final short break, so stay with us. Welcome back to From the South. Guinea's President Alpha Conde was sworn into office Tuesday for a third term, urging unity after a violently contested election. Conde said he will govern differently, promising to fight corruption and serve Guineans who elected him to another term in office. He urged Guineans to forget the divisive past and work towards a future of unity and hope. Guinea's Electoral Commission declared Conde won the term with 59% of the vote, but the opposition candidate Cellou Dalein Diallo maintains he won the election. The Foreign Minister of Sudan, Omer Gamareddin, assured that his country agreed not to be at war with Israel during an interview in local media. However, the Foreign Minister of Sudan added that both nations have not moved to the next stage. There is still no cooperation between the ministries of Sudan and Israel, except some contacts between their ministries of defense. The President of the United States, Donald Trump, announced in late October that Sudan and Israel had decided to normalize their relations. Decision taken by the consultations between the President of the United States, Donald Trump, the President of the Sovereignty Council of Sudan, Abdel Fattah al-Burhan, the Prime Minister of Sudan, Abdullah Hamdok, and the Israeli Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu. On Tuesday in Somalia, the citizens led several protests against and in favor of President Abdullahi Mohammed after the executive broke diplomatic relations with his neighbor Kenya for alleged interference in political affairs. The move came after Kenya held Somalian leaders, a dissident state not recognized by Mogadishu, came after a month of tensions between the two neighboring countries, which the Somali chief described as recurring actions in the internal affairs of the country. Local residents felt that diplomatic break between Somalia and Kenya was precipitated and that it will affect many Somalis who are living in Kenya.
We are here to announce that we have cut ties with Kenya and are calling our diplomatic personnel to be relocated to their home country, while also calling the Kenyan diplomats and their staff based in Mogadishu to leave the country immediately starting from today.
And Australia on Wednesday welcomed an Israeli Supreme Court decision to approve the extradition of a former school principal accused of sexually assaulting students at a Jewish school in Melbourne. Malka Leifer, who lost her appeal against extradition on Tuesday, is wanted by Australian police on 74 sexual assault charges, including rape involving girls at her former school. Leifer, who also holds Israeli citizenship, fled Australia in 2002 after the accusations surfaced. She has denied the allegations against her. Three sisters, Darcy Earlich, Nicole Mayer, and Ellie Shapper, have accused Leifer of abusing them while they were students at the Melbourne ultra-Orthodox school. There are said to be other victims. Pakistan's president on Tuesday approved a new anti-rape law, which is intended to speed up convictions and launch the country's first national sex offenders registry. The law, which goes into effect immediately but must be ratified by Parliament within 3 months, was prompted by the gang rape of a mother in front of her children on side of a motorway in September. The case caused outrage and led to nationwide protests, with activists demanding the government to do more to stop violence against women. Sex crimes such as rape carry social stigma in conservative Pakistan, where victims find it hard to get justice. The new law, first put forward by Prime Minister Imran Khan, orders the establishment of special courts to try cases of rape and sexual abuse against women and children, which must be completed within 4 months. It also prohibits the identification of rape victims and creates a nationwide registry of rape offenders. It establishes medical examinations within 6 hours of filing a police complaint and abolishes an invasive medical examination known as the two-finger virginity test for rape victims. According to data provided by the government this year, 11 rape cases are reported every day in Pakistan, while authorities admit the true figure is much higher. And Fiji is preparing for very destructive winds and widespread flooding as Category 5 tropical cyclone Yasa heads for the center of the island group. The latest update from the Fiji Met Service put the average wind speed on Thursday at 165 kilometers per hour, with gusts up to 230 kilometers, noting that the winds could cause widespread destruction to properties and infrastructure, as well as severe disruption of electrical power and communication services, and damage to crops and vegetation. Continuous heavy rain was expected, with a risk of river flooding and flooding of low-lying areas. As the ground is already saturated, there is also a risk of landslides.
Tropical cyclone Yasa is now over open waters between Fiji and Vanuatu. We expect it to move towards us from tomorrow. We should all prepare now for heavy rain, damaging winds, coastal inundation, and flooding across the country. I urge communities to use this time to trim tree branches, clean drains, board up homes, prepare emergency kits, and take other steps to keep your homes and communities safe.
And we have come to the end of this news brief. But remember, you can find this and many more stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. Also, if you feel so inclined, please join us on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Telegram. For TeleSUR English, I'm Gladys Quesada. Thank you for watching.